One, two, three. Hello, everybody. My name is Rodgon. I'm an artist, a teacher, a mentor, and an artist. And today we are going to be drawing something cool together. So grab your sketchbooks, grab your favorite pen, change your attitude from a grumpy to a happy smile, and let's draw something and learn some new things. So let's talk a little bit about what we went over yesterday and what we learned a little bit yesterday. Yesterday we learned how to draw hands. But meanwhile, let me start up the YouTube chat. Boom, YouTube chat is on. So yesterday we went over legs. We went over how to structure them, how to see them, how to visualize them better, and it seems like the glove is like creating this weird contrast. So we're not going to use the glove. Now, we discovered how to bend them in different positions, how to actually visualize them so that makes sense. We talked in different aspects of the different parts of it. We talked about the connection point with the hips. We talked about the thigh and how to actually start seeing the thigh and thinking about the thigh and explain how it connects to the hips and how it does all these wonderful things and exercises you guys can do to practice them. And then we talked about the calf. The calf is the bottom part in how it connects and how you can practice your different movements. And I showed you guys a lot of examples. The video was about an hour and a half, I believe. So you guys can go analyze it and go just put it on silent if you guys don't want to hear my voice, and then just copy around with the drawings that I do. I promise you that by the end of the video, you guys will have a better understanding of legs and you guys will be able to actually draw a little bit better. So that was what we went over yesterday. So today, Real Rod, what are we going to draw today? We are going to draw heads from the 3/4 and the front and the back. And oh, this is the name of this guy, by the way. I just gave him a mustache in this. But that's his name. It's not a toy made for me. Mini Rod, you're a fraud. Ah. But get out of the way so we can actually draw. Okay, bye. Anyways, all these tutorials are posted on YouTube. My YouTube channel, Rodgon the Artist, it has over like 200 videos or some shit like that, like with full of like knowledge like this, and it's all free, and it's not like guiding you to like a different type of like, oh well, if you do this then maybe you should buy this. No, it's literally just free knowledge. So just go enjoy yourself in having a bunch of free resources that you guys can access right away. Emily Arts is in the house. I was literally just watching your leg video. Peppermint Mocha Coffee Lover. Hello all, Emily Arts. Hi Peppermint. We spend a lot of time with this dude. You guys do. I actually I love that you guys are my usuals. So heads. We are going to be talking about heads. We're going to be talking about heads in the front view and what's important in those. We're going to have heads in a 3/4 view. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's important there. And we're going to talk about profiles and what's important there. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about what each view brings to the table, why you should learn how to draw it, and why it's not as hard once you start seeing things in a certain way, right? It's really hard to maintain consistency over something that you have no control over. So when you're trying to actually move a shape, even if it's something as simple as a little cylinder, right? When you're trying to move it around, if you don't understand how the shape is made, no matter how simple the shape is, you're not going to be able to draw it. So if you're having issues with a certain type of angle for your face, start breaking it down into the simplest form that you guys can think of. And then start looking into where this complication starts. So a lot of people see the faces in very different ways, right? Some people see them as spheres and then they add whatever elements they want to them. Some people see them as boxes. And again, they add all the elements they need to them. Some people, like me, see them as blobs. But the same concept is there, a very basic shape that is, then you just find the edges to it, like the sides to it. So the base concept of our head is essentially two sections, one immobile section, one that does not move, and one that does move. What are those? Well, the immobile section of our face is the upper part of our skull. And this is a very rudimentary way of drawing it, so excuse my penmanship. But this is roughly what the top part of your skull looks like. Okay? This is your hard surface. Your static hard surface. Okay? This does not move, this does not flex, this does not bulge, this does not contract, this does not expand. This is a static object in your face. What is the mobile part of your face? Your jaw. Your jaw, depending on where it is and how it opens, has a lot of mobility, right? And that's just from the side. That's just from like a profile. If you're looking at this from like a 3/4, and we'll simplify the skull a little bit more. Right? If you see this from the side, you can move your chin considerable amounts and it's still going to look fine. Because your facial expressions actually can shift quite a bit. Right? Are you interested in illustrating a comic? If you guys have any interest in hiring me, you guys can DM me in my Instagram. If you guys have a question, if you guys want to hire me, if you guys want to just ask any random question, hit me up on Instagram. It's honestly just a matter of if it's interesting and if it's actually worth like money-wise to me to actually take on a job. That's essentially it. I don't take on passion projects, and it's not something personal. It's just a matter of there needs to be a budget in there for actual work instead of dreams. So if you guys are actually interested in working with a professional, hit me up. If you guys are just kind of bandering about with an idea of something or whatever and you guys just want to run it by someone, you guys can feel free to run it by me, but that does not mean that I'm going to take on your project because my time is valuable. So yeah, honestly, just hit me up with an offer and then shoot me the script. If it's a good script, I would love to do like work on it. I would love to. Red Eye Artist. Sup, Rodgon? It's crazy to realize you have 60 plus hours of tutorial on YouTube. Yeah, I think I have even more than that, honestly. Like, I think most of my streams are about an hour, right? But before, I used to do streams for like 5 hours. I used to do streams for like 3 hours. So even though I have like 200 videos or plus right now, plus the live feeds, plus the shorts, plus everything else. So there's a lot. There's a lot of free material for you guys to enjoy. Like insane amount. If you guys are actually interested in learning, you guys can actually learn. Oh dear God, these notifications are killing me. Hold on. There you Okay, so let's see. So we have two parts to our skull, right? Two parts. We have our static, and we have our mobile parts. And our mobile parts are our jaw. Our static part is our the head, like the top of the skull, I guess. Now, once we have an understanding of those two elements, we can stop thinking of the entire head as one big shape, right? We don't have to think of the entirety of our head shape anymore like this. Because we realize that all this lower part is subjective to movement. So I'm going to neglect all this area, and I'm just going to focus on the parts up until the nose. So what you're going to be doing is when you're going to be drawing, you're going to start thinking of your head in two different parts. You're going to be thinking of your head up to where your nose is. And then after you finish figuring out what you're going to do with this part, and you figure out what facial expressions you want, let's say it's disgust or something like that. Right? Now I know what I can do with my mouth. So if I wanted to add like a big like blah like tongue coming out because he looks kind of disgusted, now I can draw my teeth in, which gives me an indication of where my mouth is supposed to go. Now I can draw my mouth going around my teeth, and then I can have my tongue like that. And even if I don't end up drawing the teeth later, I know that the positioning is right. Right? And then since I have these overlapping shapes, now I can figure out the rest of my face going around those shapes. This is just a pencil grip. It literally is nothing special. Like, this is not a special thing that I buy online that's like, ew. Like, this is something they'll probably sell at any art store in the little bins before you buy and leave the counter. Like, they have these all over, and they're like normally squishy little things, not always little triangles, but like they serve the same purpose. So when we are thinking about our face, we're going to be thinking about it in two sections, right? We're going to be thinking about it as our top section and then our bottom section. I understand that this makes thinking about the head a little bit more complex, but at the same time, why are you looking to make things so much simpler? The concept of learning involves learning a little bit more complex things all the time. So don't be afraid of complexity. Don't be afraid of learning something different, something that you haven't seen or something that's hard for you. Whenever you actually find those things, like rejoice in it, because then you know that you're missing a little part of your art knowledge, and it's going to get filled in really, really quickly once you realize it. All right, so we have two sections to our mouth face. Same thing's going to happen in profile view. We're going to think first of everything up until the nose. Right, we're going to draw our nose, and then we're going to figure out what we're going to do with the mouth. If we are trying to do like a happy face, for example, in a profile view, we just have to break this down into the easiest way that we can. So what is a mouth in a profile view? Essentially, it's like a Pac-Man slice, right? That is what's going on. But what is happening here? What is happening here is we have an opening from this side to this side that goes around your sphere. So we have this point and this point. We're connecting them around a round shape. This part is like the upper part of your lip, right? This is the upper part of your lip, and if you want to draw a smile, you have to consider that this is the upper part of your lip. You're going to have a lower part of your lip, and then you are going to have your teeth a little bit inside of those lips. So what does this remind you of? A lot of people that watch my videos will understand what I'm talking about. But the concept of a mouth is very similar to the concept of an eye. Okay, so if you think about it like that, it makes it a lot easier to draw mouths. Let's just draw an eye. And now we have that round area for the top of the lip. We have the little bit of spacing that you need underneath your lip, and then you just draw your chin into it. And that's a nice, easy way to draw a mouth. But if you don't want to do it like that, like stylization, which this is kind of a little bit of a measurement of a stylization, we are going to see things a little bit different. We're going to explain it a different way so you guys can see it a different way, so you guys aren't pigeonholed it into just thinking about it in one way. Because that is one of the things that I absolutely hated during my time in school. It was either the teacher's way of seeing shit or nothing. And, you know, it doesn't really work that way. As a teacher, I have the explicit duty to learn how to see things differently so that I can explain to you guys why it works, why it doesn't, and why, you know, you should learn it or why you should avoid it. That is my job as a teacher. Right? Some teachers just don't take their job that seriously. And I don't even have a degree in this shit. I just want to do it. All right, so let's backtrack a little bit. Okay, we are going to backtrack a little bit because we gotta explain what we're gonna be drawing and what the jaw actually consists of, right? Like, how do we know like where this little curvature is, and like what happens here, and how does the jaw, like, why does it look like that from the front, and how do you connect the neck to it? It's all so hard, right? But it's not. So let's break it down so you guys understand what we are looking at whenever we look at a head, and then you guys can apply your own stylization to it depending on whatever you guys want to apply to it. So let's break the head down into like the most basic shape, right? What are we looking at whenever we are like drawing the head? In all reality, we are looking at like an ovalish shape with a flat side, and then it extends down flatter on the front up until the nose, and then it goes down into like a triangle for the jaw. So you have all these complex shapes, and then it starts cutting into the face, and you know, it changes the angles of it and stuff like that. So the reason that like stylizing a head is hard is because a lot of people don't take the time to understand the planes of the head, right? This is something that's hard to do. It's not simple. It's not easy to just be like, oh, I'm gonna look at someone's head and then be able to see the sides and be able to like see like where all the crevices are. And this is not easy to do. Okay, I would be lying to you if I told you that this was like an easy concept to get to. Like most people take a long time to be able to map out a human face in a way that it makes sense to them. It takes a while, especially if you are not being critical and analytical about your work, right? If you are very stuck on like getting to a certain place style wise and you're not concerned about learning your basics anymore, that's going to limit you down the line. It might not limit you now. It actually might bring you a lot of success really quickly. But if you don't go back and refine yourself again and find how you can improve nonstop throughout your career, then it's going to like hinder you. It did me. Like about 20 years into my career, I realized that I was having a hard time drawing things even looking slightly up. Like that was like a super hard thing for me for some reason. And I was like, one day I just sat down and I was like, why is this hard for me? Like I think I know anatomy. I think I know a little bit about perspective, but why is this so hard? I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been known for my designs already. Like I was like already at a point where I would be like recognized in the art community. And I was still having a hard time drawing a simple thing like somebody looking up. And then one day I was just like, okay, let's test myself. I'm going to test myself and I'm going to see how much I actually know. It ended up being that I didn't really understand much when it came down to the concept of anatomy. And I did not know shit about, like, I was very, very limited in my knowledge of perspective. And when I started realizing that, I was like, oh my God, how the hell did I get so far? And I got so far by copying other people's things and learning how they did that, right? Like so I learned my initial style was just copying everybody that I liked. Like I would draw like Scott Campbell's nose for like a million times, right? Like until I realized, like the trick to what he was doing to simplify them. Right? It was like it took years of me studying these little tiny triangle parts that he used to draw or that he draws. And it was like, how does he draw his noses like that? How does he do it? Oh my God, his style's amazing. How does he do it? Well, the thing is, when I went in, I was like, okay, well, I don't even know how to draw a fucking nose. Like, I've been a caricature artist for 15 years. And when someone asked me to draw a simple nose, I was like, I can't do that. Huh. I wonder why I can't just sit there and draw a nose. I can now, but back then it was like, if you would have asked me to, I would have like just been like, okay, I don't know what the parts of the nose are, but I can draw shapes into a nose. But it's not the same, right? It's not the same knowing how to draw a nose. Like I can draw a nose like this very easy because it's like an M, boom, 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 and just connect all the lines, right? So if that's a way to draw the nose, but if you don't understand the concept and how it actually is built, it makes it so hard to be able to move that into a different perspective, right? When you're like looking at it from the side, from the angles that are not necessarily the easiest to like map out, those are the angles that like you realize very quickly that you do not understand what you're drawing unless you are drawing him from a specific point, right? So that is something that was a very daunting thing on me. And that is something that just made me level up really quickly, really fast, because I was desperate to be able to understand all the points that I did not get when it came down to to art in general. And I'd been doing this for a long time, by the way. Like I had been doing this for 20, almost 20 years, maybe like 15, 16 years before I was like, put the brakes on this shit. Hold on, hold on. I'm literally getting really fucking good at stylizing everything, but that's about as much as I can get to. Like I can't seem to be able to understand enough to be able to stylize shit myself. And when it comes down to stylizing, that's all it is. A style, and I mentioned this before. A style is the combination of your knowledge of like life, your mental library, right? Everything in your brain that you know how to draw confidently. And then you combine that with your dexterity from learning how to draw perspective. Right? Your knowledge about perspective, how you visualize depth in general, combining that plus whatever knowledge of the theme that you want to get better at. In this case, if it's anatomy, so anatomy. But that's his knowledge. This is dexterity. Okay? Without actually having experience drawing something, having the knowledge of how to deconstruct it, and then having the knowledge of what you're drawing to deconstruct it in fun, awesome ways, this is what leads to your style. Be you, but you mind. I don't. Okay, so one thing that bugs me a lot is when people try to tell me how to get my classes. And like honestly, I teach things here for real people. Like I teach things here for people that actually want to learn, and the frustration that comes with a lot of aspects of being an artist. So that comes with not being a passive person and just always being like, ooh, like we gotta make everybody's feelings better. No, having everybody's feelings be like saved is why so many artists starve. Like honestly, like if more people were more direct with people before they get into the art world, this would not, like, you would not have so many people unemployed. You would not have so many people disillusioned because they haven't been able to do anything with their work. You wouldn't have that shit. So no, I do apologize for any foul language that comes out, but I'm not gonna censor like the little tiny amount of passion that comes out from when I'm talking, just so people don't get offended. You know, it's not a measure of like being like needing wanting to be rude. It's more like you gotta understand that like it's not just about your feelings, right? Like at one point, like your feelings, once you get to a point where you want to make art into your career, your feelings are very not much important because you're gonna be criticized. You're going to be put through the ringer. Like people will judge you left, right, and upside down. And if you are not okay with someone like being a little bit direct or more real, or I don't want to say that shit because then I sound like a politician, like trying to like defend whatever point they're doing, right? But at one point, sorry, cussing happens. It's just part of my lingo. I'm not gonna apologize for it. It's just who I am, and that's why I do it here through the streams, and I don't do this in classrooms, right? Maybe that's the reason why I'm not there yet. But at the same time, I would probably be doing that in classrooms too, to be fair. Because sometimes those words are necessary to show the frustration and the level of importance of something. Words mean something. And sometimes that gets accompanied with a direct passion that comes along with what you're talking about. So, anyways, let's continue on with the lesson. So, our style is going to come from three aspects, right? So, your mental library is one. That is what you can draw confidently. Two is going to be your actual skills that you need, and that is perspective and anatomy. That is why those foundational skills are so important. What are some foundation skills that are not that important at first? Shading. Shading is nothing. You don't need this shit to learn how to draw. You don't need this. You don't need to learn how to shade until later. If you don't know how to draw, don't worry about shading. Shading is lighting, and that comes with understanding of shapes and understanding all your perspective. Because when you're lighting something, essentially, all you're doing is you're taking a light source and then you are just using your grid map to put the light wherever you need it. That is what you're doing when you see this things like this. Lighting becomes easy. Lighting becomes easy. So this is a secondary skill. Secondary, I guess, skill. So this is not a prime core skill. Okay? It just isn't. Like shading, lighting is not a core skill. Jonathan Duke, I totally understand you. I learned a lot from you past couple months, and I leveled up. Thank you. I appreciate hearing that. Do we have discount codes for Sketch Wallet for the subs? I have not secured that yet. I have not secured the Sketch Wallet one. But I am trying my hardest to get some more sketchbook and art supply ones for you guys. And very soon you'll have discount codes for hopefully for 21 Draw as well. So that'll be nice. The Deadpool glove has light issues. The second finger art glove didn't see. You know, I think I just need to get a glove that's white so that it white balances the page. So I think that's the reason. Like sometimes the lighting gets so light in like my YouTube like webcam because of the dark contrast. It just like fucks it up, I guess. Why is this actually making sense in my tiny brain? Because this is something that I've like studied for a very long time. Like so over the last 15 years I've like spent a lot of time trying to figure out the best ways to explain how to draw things to people. Because I personally struggled a ridiculous amount when it came down to learning how to draw in general. It was a very uphill struggle for me, and I didn't want other people to have to struggle like that. So anytime that I learn something new or I learn how to do something, I tend to share it with you guys. I share it with everyone. Like that is the reason that I'm like so bad at keeping like just content for like very specific groups. Like Patreon was horrible for me. Horrible. Like it was horrible. Because I could not keep myself from sharing the knowledge with people beyond the people in my Patreon. Like my goal is not to gatekeep information, right? My goal is to be able to provide knowledge that anyone can achieve. Because I don't think you should be having to be like paying hundreds of thousands of dollars or even 50 tens of thousands of dollars to be able to follow a career in art. Right? To be creative, you should not have to be spending that stupid amount of money, especially if you don't even know if you're gonna be liking being in the creative field. So it's nuts to me that so many people went to school with me to go be artists, and then at the end of the day, they ended up just working at like Macy's because they either hated being artists, they didn't understand the field, they didn't have the drive because they thought that it was really easy to be an artist. They thought that it was going to be like ridiculously simple, and it's not. Being an artist is fucking hard. And I apologize for the language. But Jesus Christ, when people think that this is an easy career, like it's laughable because this is not easy. And anybody that thinks it's easy most likely isn't part of the industry. Like people that go like, "Oh, well, you just doodle every day for fun." I'm like, "Nah, dude." Like I have to draw every day because otherwise I don't make money. I have to draw every day because otherwise I don't move my career forward. I have to draw every day because that's my job. Just like a plumber has to go like do drains and unclog things, I have to create. But the thing is, there's a very limited amount of energy that you can dedicate to drawing, like, to coming up with things. Like your creative energy is not endless. It's not. It comes and it goes, and it like sometimes is a pain in the ass, and it takes a while to get there. Practice makes perfect, but only practice with intent of learning makes perfect. And that makes, like, I know that sounds really weird, but just practicing over and over and over and over and over without the intent of learning is not going to get you anywhere. It's just going to, you're going to just repeat the same mistakes that you do over and over, and you're not going to refine or change anything about what you do. So, therefore, you're going to just be in the same spot at the end of the day. But if you go into your drawings, let's say, for example, I'm drawing these guys, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, the head too small. I'm going to tell myself, I'm telling myself the head is too small, right? So if that's a mistake, I'm going to try to correct it really fast. Just so I can visually have an idea of what it was supposed to be. Cool, okay, that's a little bit better. Right? If you come up with something like the nose that's too weird, right? Like, oh, that does not look quite right. Fix it on the spot. Just fix it. Even if the sketch becomes messy and dirty, who cares? It's your sketchbook. You're supposed to learn on it. Be like, nose too large. The next time you draw something, your brain is automatically going to be like, oh, maybe the nose is too large for this one this time. Let's make it a little smaller. And then that's how you just adjust your drawings, and you adjust your mentality to learn every time you're drawing, as opposed to thinking about it like just a practice session of like, I'm just going to draw 100 faces. Well, yeah, you're going to draw 100 faces, but what are you going to learn at the end of it, right? What's the point of drawing 100 faces if at the end of it you're just going to be drawing the same thing over and over? And if it's not going to help you get better or understand the different concept better or change your mentality about drawing something a certain way or acknowledging like a bad habit that you have, right? Like the whole point of drawing in your sketchbook is to teach yourself lessons that will help you become a better artist. And that's just habits that you need to get used to. All right, so let me get back to the actual concept of the face, and I just drew examples. So when we are actually like thinking about the head, you just have to think about it in two different ways, right? The base concept of the shape of your head, regardless of whatever shape you choose, right? And then you have to figure out the volume of it. So in this case, this could be like a sphere, so we just have to find one side and another side. With something like a cylinder, it could be as easy as just finding one side, going around your shape, and finding the other side. with a box or anything boxy, it's going to be the same concept. Let's make this into like a box. Okay, we're going to find one side, go around our shape, and find the other side. This is going to tell us where our ears are going to go. We make a little marking for our ear, a placeholder per se. This ear has a placeholder too, but you wouldn't see it because it's on the other side of the body. And then your jaw. The jaw connects from this point to this point. So they both go down, right? It goes down from your ear, and it's going to connect at your chin. So it's going to go around down to your chin. It's going to go around and then up. Okay? And that is how you get your jaw. You set a chin, you draw your lines from this ear down to your jaw, and then you follow it back to the other side. If your jaw is going to be open, you just set your jaw away from your face, but you connect it the same way. Okay? And then your face goes in the front, whatever you want to do to your face at that point. So if we take this and we just expand this and make this into the actual shape, you'd end up with something like that. Just for rudimentary purposes, just to show you guys. Right? So your jaw, you can see your jaw most of the time from this side, but from this side it's more your cheek. So your jaw actually curves inside, right? So you would not see the other side of the jaw. So whenever you're drawing and you have difficult positions like somebody looking up, go down to your base form, set your jaw, set your chin, and remember that these are going to connect to each other. Okay? And then from there, you can draw your face looking up, looking down. However you guys want it. Becomes a little bit easier to move in space. If you guys see what I mean. So that is one aspect of the face that needs to be looked at, because so many people just get so used to just drawing like a stylized face, right? They get so used to just drawing the same stylized face that they forget that their characters have depth. Their characters are supposed to have, like if you're supposed to know how to break down your character to a three-dimensional shape. Let's just put it like that. If you want to become a good character designer, this is a core value skill. Because this helps with posing, this helps with storytelling, this helps with stylization, this helps with the look of things, this helps with a lot of things. So, let's see. What have we not gone over? We already went over mouths. I think we haven't gone mouths. Yeah, I guess we went over mouths a little bit. Then we went over the jaw. And then we go over difficult angles. and we discussed how to carve out your shapes. We discussed the nose. The eyes, I guess. Eyes are interesting. Um, eyes. Eyes are probably going to be the most important part of the face. That is going to be the part that dictates the styling and it dictates like most of the detailing in the eye. So let's talk a little bit about what eyes are, how we can draw them differently, and how we can visualize them and stylize them. Okay, so eyes in general start as a circle, and then we have to again remember that it's a three-dimensional shape, right? If we remember that it's a three-dimensional shape, whenever we start adding things like the middle parts, right? You already have a grid perfectly suited to be able to draw your eye in every direction needed, right? So that grid is going to allow you to place your eye anywhere you need it. Cool. So it's also round and spherical. So that means that this is going to wrap around, your lines are going to wrap around this. Okay? Say they go around your shape. This is important because your eyelids are literally just these little hemispheres. So your eyelid is just two of those little lines made darker. That is all your eyelid is. Okay? It is the top part of your eye, your eyeball, that is covering your actual eyeball. So it's like a little blankie on top of your eyeball, made out of skin. Okay? So that aspect is what throws off so many people because when you're trying to draw something like sexy eyes, right? What do you normally do? You angle the eye up. But if you just draw it flat, yeah, you can get like a really cool look. Very stylized, very like sensual, right? But if you understand the shape of it, you can start getting into the subtleties and the curvatures that you need to get a more appealing drawing. Right? So that makes the difference. The difference comes from understanding this vision. Now, this, when I draw this from the side, it's going to be a little bit harder for me to stylize it the same way. Right? But if I take this, I already know the curvature of it because I already know the angle. So it becomes easier to be able to move these to different angles and to different sides. Draw something realistic. Why? Does making it realistic in drawing all the lights and the shadows and everything, does that make it like more appealing to you? Because I mean that's as easily done as just following all the techniques that we have done and then just adding more detail and lights and shadows, and it's not hard to draw more realistic. It really isn't. It's just a matter of understanding more of the anatomy, more of the actual concepts of contrast and lights and shadows. That's all you're really doing. But it's not a style that I really like doing because it takes forever to draw. And it's just, I'm a concept artist. I'm more of a conceptual human. So I would rather draw my eye like this than have to spend 30 minutes getting the perfect lighting, the perfect angles, the perfect amount of eyelashes that I need to do and set up and find a reference for the perfect model to show me the perfect thing, blah, 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 blah. Right? To me, it's not pointless art. It really isn't, because everybody has a subjective view on art. So whatever I find important is not necessarily what you find important. But that's just not what I like to do. So I just don't do it. We have, oh, keep that energy, love your craft, no negativity can outshine your work. Drawing Gamer 93, I finally made it to a stream. Rod, I appreciate all the streams you post here and on YouTube. I'm usually busy, but they're really helpful and fun to come back to. Keep up the amazing work. Aww. Detrás de la raya. Si pudiera sugerir tema de villanos, pues comentan mucho que deben ser triangulares y los ángulos. Oh, okay. This person is saying that a lot of villains are very triangular, and that is very true because normally we have three different shapes, right? This is shape dynamics. So, angular drawings give you a feeling of sharpness. That feeling of sharpness, we learn it from very young that it makes things pointy. Pointy things hurt. Pointy things are mad. Pointy things are evil. So pointy things tend to have the look of a very villainous or a dangerous person, right? When it comes down to shapes like spheres and round shapes, they tend to be the happy shapes because they are soft and squishy and they don't have like literally they just look like little clouds, little soft feelings. So this is happy and joy. This is evil and pain. Soft. And then we have blocks. Blocky people tend to be strong, just super, super strong humans, and like not necessarily the brightest for some reason. Hold on. My phone is dying, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to charge it. Why is this not charging? Ooh, that's weak. Why is this not charging? Well, if my phone does not charge, our lesson is going to be done really, really soon. Huh. Huh. Interesting. The light is working. Well, hope you guys have been learning a little bit today. There's no current. What's going on? No, no current. Weird. A box. Just hold on, guys. Sorry about that. Just trying to make sure you guys actually don't get cut off. Where are my chargers? But anyways, I guess our lesson is going to have to come to a close, short lesson. Mostly because my phone's at 4% battery and I can't seem to charge it. So it's going to have to wait. What is going on here? Okay, well, I guess my phone has a little bit of like moisture in there or something. So I'm gonna have to let it dry. My phone's gonna die, so I can't really continue the lesson here for you guys on TikTok. So I'm gonna call it a day for today. We did spend about an hour, so I think we did cover most of the things that I wanted to cover, and we will probably continue with this lesson a little bit later tonight as well. It seems like I'm gonna be kind of bored the last couple weeks that I'm gonna be here, so I'm gonna have a lot of time to stream. So thank you guys so much for keeping up with the lesson. If you guys do want to support, there's a couple ways. You guys can buy my books, Coffee Break Doodles. Ignore the big smudge. Coffee Break Doodles is available for you guys, as well as art block and pinups. 3 of my books available for sale through my links in my bios. So it's my stand store. If you guys can't find it, please let me know. I was having issues yesterday with it, and just want to make sure that you guys can actually get the books if you guys do feel like supporting. If you guys don't, you guys can always go find more free resources. No one's asking you guys to pay for anything, please. Do not think that I am asking you guys for that. Please just go out, learn as much as you can, and I would love to see some of your work if you guys feel so inclined to share it. Share it with me on my Instagram stories. If you guys tag me in your stories, I'll be more than happy to share it with the world so that we can see some of your guys' work as well as not just mine. All right? My goal is to empower you guys to be able to become better artists, not necessarily make myself the best one. I always told myself that I don't want to be the next Walt Disney. I want to teach the next 50 Walt Disneys to be able to take over the world. Right? So that is my goal. Hope you guys had a wonderful time. Love you all. Thank you for keeping up with me and being my sketching buddies, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.